Alrighty, everybody, what is going on? Welcome back to the Journeyman Sports Podcast. Today, me and Cade are going to be doing third tier list on the channel. This is probably the most anticipated one, the one we've been holding on to for a little bit. Keep the excitement up, and it is finally here. The quarterback tier list for the 2022 to 2023 season. Excited for this one, and we are just kind of going to both quickly discuss each quarterback and then essentially just try and hopefully we agree on majority of these. Obviously, we're not going to, but got our tiers here: best of the best, franchise, elite, average, below average, and garbage. So yeah, we'll discuss each player and then hopefully try and find some middle ground to rank them. So first
Also,
off,
if there is any noise in the background, I do have a roommate and a lot of friends coming around the dorm, so I do apologize for that in advance. Um, but yeah, let's get to it.
we got Aaron Rodgers, he's had an interesting season, nothing too bad. So I guess for formatting, if you kind of just want to start, and then I'll try
with
and find their stats and read them after you give your quick
okay,
synopsis.
well, with him winning two back-to-back MVPs, and being considered a franchise quarterback for a very long time. I don't think it's really him. I think it's the team around him that isn't very good. Yes, I think he needs a change of attitude, but I would put him in the franchise section of this because I can't call him best of the best for this year.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you there. He's got 2,800 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 9 picks with a quarterback rating of 92, which is the lowest it's been since 2018. I'm gonna say a big part of it. Agree with you. I think a large part is just the lack of kind of weapons that he has. I think he still played well this year and showed at times, he still is Aaron freaking Rodgers. And I think in Green Bay, if you just get him another weapon, you'll see him. I think you could see him return to the best of the best next year, hopefully.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And then next up, we got a man who
Baker.
talked about recently in Baker Mayfield, who has had an interesting season. He's got
I have a quick answer for this one.
all right.
Because he is the epitome of mid to me, I'm gonna put him right at average.
I am
Because
going to
I
agree with
think
you.
because I think he's not good enough to be a starter, but I think he is one of the best backup quarterbacks you can have.
Yeah. And I think he's a perfect bridge too. This year in 7 games, he's got 7 touchdowns to 6 interceptions and about 1,500 yards. So, not a crazy good season, not awful either. So yeah, I think average is a pretty good spot for him. And then I think it's a pretty good spot for this next guy too. Carson Wentz, to me,
Mm,
this is probably one where we're going to disagree. He played in 6 games this year, had 1,500 yards, 10 touchdowns to 6 interceptions with an 84 quarterback rating.
I think
So,
he's I think he's below average based on his past 2 years and this year. Just not the best ability is availability, and if he hasn't had that, and on top of just not being clutch in any moment and not really playing very well, I'm putting him below average. I don't think he's as good as Baker Mayfield right now.
yeah, that's fair. I'll put Carson Wentz in below average there. And then divisional opponent, this is going to be another controversial one, I think, with Dak Prescott, who's got in 8 games this year, he's got 1,850 yards, 14 touchdowns to 9 picks, and a 92 quarterback rating, which is so far the lowest of his career.
I
So
think
this
he's
is an
elite.
interesting one. I would agree with you there. I think
I,
that's a
I don't.
pretty
Yeah, I think elite is because he's not as good as Aaron Rodgers, but he's not as bad as Baker Mayfield. He's kind of like that I don't know where this guy is, but Kirk Cousins is kind of like right there for me too.
yeah, that's another one that's going to be interesting when we get down to him. But Dak has shown he's shown flashes of being a franchise quarterback. I think if you have him as your guy for the next 3 or 4 years on most teams, I don't think you would be mad about it. But I also feel like at times he can leave things to be desired, which I think as a franchise quarterback, you would have to do other things that much better to really kind of wax those out. And I don't think he necessarily does.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like elite is a good spot for him. And then another NFC East guy, Daniel Jones,
Below average.
below average. That was quick. I would agree with you. He's not having a
We
bad
talked
year.
about it. We talked about it in the last video we just did.
Yeah.
Like
Perfect
Daniel
bridge
Jones is just
quarterback.
it's just not it's just the guy you throw in to like get you through games. You don't expect wins.
Yeah. And I think, he's got 2,500 yards to 12 touchdowns to 4 picks, 92 passer rating. I don't think he's bad by any means. He adds a lot on the ground. He's got 550 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns, but he does have 4 fumbles too. So, I mean, he's a guy who's definitely a turnover. He can be a little bit of a turnover machine. He had a nice clean streak for a little bit, but
Based on the years that I've seen with him and based off of what they've done lately, below average.
Yeah. Next up is a guy who actually just got benched, and Davis Mills. I think Davis Mills might be in the garbage tier, to be honest.
He's garbage.
You get benched for Kyle Allen, that's a hard one to come back from.
He went from a guy who looked promising and could have been like a good little story to what the actual hell is going on.
Yeah, it's just so interesting because everything we heard coming into this season and heard last year was, maybe he could be a guy in Houston, but they're going to have the number 1 pick. They're going to get Bryce Young. So, I mean, he's pretty much see you later, bye at this point. So Davis Mills will find himself comfortably inside of the garbage tier. Next one, this is another interesting one. Derek Carr.
I'm gonna put Derek Carr in the elite tier.
Elite? Really?
Because we have to take a sample size of what he did last year for that team when it was literally crumbling apart, and like all the guys were going to jail. He held it together and got them into the playoffs and made them a push. Like, I mean, he's been there for so long. He's played at very, very high levels. Even though he may not be playing the best right now, it's not all the Raiders' problems are not on him.
Man, I think this is one I would argue for average, but I feel like because of the leadership skills that he possesses, he can find himself up into the elite. So next up, this is yet again another interesting one where, you want to take
below average right now.
Right now?
Right now.
Then I feel like you should put the Derek.
But he hasn't played in 2 years.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's hard.
Deshaun Watson hasn't played in 2 years, and he's playing bad right now. So it's like,
yeah, I'll go for average with Deshaun. That feels so wrong having him in the same tier as Baker. That's just weird to see. If we were going off of character, he would not even be on the list. But
yeah,
that's just weird to see. I gotta say,
if we were going off of character, this next guy might be at the top of the list.
Yeah, and that would be Geno's having a great year, clocking in at 3,400 yards, 25 touchdowns to 8 picks with a 107 passer rating. So I think there's a very good argument for Geno Smith to be in the elite tier for this year.
He is elite this year right now.
And yeah, I mean, you can't say enough about his character either. He's got one of probably the all-time quotes of the year of, what was it? They wrote me off, I didn't write back.
Yeah, I didn't write back.
Yeah, that's just legendary, honestly. You can't even that's something straight out of a video game, honestly. Or seriously. A movie. Like good for Geno. I feel like obviously he's gotten his flowers this year, but I still don't even feel like he's gotten the necessary respect.
Yeah. I feel you.
especially with how much he's outplayed the guy that they traded, Russell Wilson. But we'll get to him
Yeah.
later in the video.
Goodness
Next
gracious.
up, I think this is
I
an
know
easy.
right where I'm putting Big Russ.
Yeah, this next one for me is easy. Jalen Hurts has got to be best of the best.
Best of the best. He's
He's
MVP.
he's the MVP right now. If the season ended today, he's the MVP, no doubt about it.
Oh, I can give you a take about this next one.
Yeah, I was gonna
I
say
know right where
I'm
to
just
put
leaving
him.
this one to
You can throw him right down the freaking garbage can because
Wow.
if you get benched for Andy Dalton, you're a piece of absolute You cannot be even up in the below average ranks if you're being benched for Andy Dalton, bro.
Feeling some type of way about Jameis.
Yes, I am, and he's getting paid to be absolutely horrible. So
Yeah, I don't
fire
know.
Dennis Allen, get rid of Jameis, get rid of Andy Dalton. Gosh. Anyway, moving on. Jared Goff.
Jared Goff, to me, I feel like he's had a good season. I feel like he's had a couple games that have really helped him. He's got 3,352 yards, 22 touchdowns, 7 picks, 97 passer rating. I think Jared Goff is average. I'm going to be honest.
I think he's average too.
All right. Yeah, I was going to say I feel like he's had stints this year where he's been
He's up
elite.
and down. He's up and down. And then we have Mr. Mid himself, Jimmy
We have
Garoppolo.
Jimmy Garoppolo, the staple of
But
NFL consistency.
At this rate, I think we have to give him elite because he is elite at being a game manager.
I would agree. I think Jimmy Garoppolo, like, hot take, not a Colts fan necessarily, like they're a hometown team, whatever. If I'm the
Mhm.
Colts, whatever it takes to get Jimmy Garoppolo this offseason, if they're not going to be able to move up in the draft for a quarterback, any team that needs a potential bridge quarterback or a solid starter, this should be the guy that you go for. This dude has won throughout his whole
Saints.
career. He doesn't
Saints.
turn the ball over. Yeah, Saints would be a great spot too. You know, if you do draft a guy later in the draft, like I
We
don't know
need
how
to-
far Anthony Richardson is going to fall necessarily, but I know that could be a name.
Yeah.
But Garoppolo, I mean, to me, he's the staple of consistency. He wins. He doesn't turn it over, which is a big time quarterback stat. And I think anyone would love to have him.
Yeah, I agree. Joe Burrow, Joey, Mr. himself. We got to put Joey in best of the best, I think.
I
Super
agree.
Super Bowl last year, he's balling out this year.
And he's another guy where, like, you know, I'm not even trying to be weird, but for a white dude, that man has got freaking swag. Like he's got everything you want in
Swagger
a
to him.
quarterback. He's got the swagger, he's got the FU attitude, the chip on his shoulder. He's still humble. All-time quote from him too about the Jamar Chase injury. I am who I thought I was. Like, he's just so cool. Like, you just can't not like him. Oh, one of my favorite players in the league, 100%.
Okay. Something just happened. I'm so sorry. Technical
you're good.
difficulties there for a second. I do not know what happened. Okay.
Joey B
Yeah.
is the man.
He is. Okay, Josh Allen. He's franchised. He's franchised.
Yeah, I like that. I like that call.
I think he's right where Aaron Rodgers is, especially this year. Josh Allen is not playing up to standard.
What everyone thought, the Bills are still good. Like, don't get us wrong, but
Yeah, but
for
Josh
what
Allen.
everyone expected him to be, he's got 3,500 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 11 picks. Which, you know, he's a gunslinger. He's gonna throw it around, but he's on pace to potentially have the most interceptions of his career. And, you know, he brings a lot in the running game too. He's got 628 yards, 6 touchdowns, but he has 9 more fumbles. So he has 20 turnovers this year. So, like, that's just, if you're going to be the best of the best, that's something that you're not supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel
And we're
like,
talking this year currently, so.
yeah, and I feel like, you know, that's like some of the guys on here, you know, like Jimmy Garoppolo, you know, he doesn't turn it over. Aaron Rodgers historically has not turned it over. Jalen Hurts doesn't turn it over. There's some other guys on this list that we'll get to, but I feel like that's a pretty good spot to put Josh Allen, especially for this year.
I agree.
Next up, this is going to be a tough one too. Justin Fields.
I think we got to give Justin Fields average for now,
I would agree with that. That's what I was
but
about to
he's gonna
say.
be elite very soon.
Yeah, get him another weapon and get him some help on defense. Like the Bears are going
And
in a good
and
direction.
offensive line, yeah,
A little bit everywhere,
yeah,
essentially. But yeah, I think Jesus. Justin Fields has got one of the really he's been one of the really good stories of the year, especially over about the last really ever since November. I feel like he's really taken a step up, especially as a rusher, and we're starting to see some of the steps being made as a passer as well, which is a big thing for him.
yeah. No, that's huge. Justin Herbert,
This is
um,
franchise to me. I feel
yeah,
like
he's
he's
franchise to me
franchise.
too.
Yeah, he's got the
Yeah,
best arm in the league, I think. I think he's got a
yeah,
better
yeah,
arm than
and
Burrow,
but with I
Mahomes.
think with that roster, you got to be doing more.
It's been injury riddled though. You have to keep in mind Keenan Allen and Mike Williams have not played together but like 2 games this year. And I
True.
think I just think Justin Herbert, for some reason, a lot of people think he's really overrated. I feel like so. I feel like a lot of people would say he's an elite quarterback. I think he's in the franchise tier. I think he's just as good as a lot of. I think he's better than everyone on the list below him. I feel like he's played better than Aaron Rodgers this year. And
Yeah,
out of the franchise guys, I think he's the best in that list right now. I don't know
yeah,
about you, but that's how I'm feeling about that.
yeah. Okay, Kenny Pickett. I'm gonna put Kenny Pickett below
Below
average,
average. Yeah. I that's not to say that he couldn't go up. I think we could see him take a good step next year to average. But
but
right
just
now,
not right now. He's not looking very good. Kirk Cousins, I'm gonna put him in elite. I think he's right up there with Jimmy and Derek Carr and Dak Prescott and them. That tier of quarterback is good, and I think the Vikings are in a good direction with him for now. Obviously, they're not going to probably renew his contract next year, but
you don't think they will? Not even for just another 1 year deal potentially?
maybe for one more 1 year deal. We'll see. It
I feel
depends
like it
on what
just
he does in the
depends
playoffs.
on the playoffs, and then what else is available at that point. But I
Yeah,
mean, Kirk Cousins is another guy where if he gets let go, I mean, there's a lot of other teams I feel like that would want him. You know what I mean?
exactly. Yep. Kyler, man, I'm gonna have to put Kyler in average.
Hold up.
Yeah, I know that hurts you. I know that
I
hurts
gotta
you,
see the stats on this one. I gotta
but
see the stats
Kyler
quick.
just, man, he's not winning lately. The team's not winning. He's making a lot of boneheaded mistakes this year. He made boneheaded mistakes in last year's playoffs. All the drama that he brought on the team, I don't like his leadership. I don't like his character. So, average.
That's that's fair. I feel like the coaching is a decent sized part of that. I'm not gonna make excuses for him. The health is definitely a big concern, but I still think I think Kyler Murray is the best in this tier though so far.
Yeah.
I feel like he's one of the ones that's really if there was a spot between elite and average, I feel like we could easily elevate him and probably Deshaun too, but I feel like that's a pretty safe landing spot for him right now.
Yeah.
I just hope that
Lamar's
ACL doesn't keep him
franchise.
up. Yeah, Lamar's franchise.
Lamar might be best of the best. I don't know.
Nah, he's not best of the best.
Franchise for sure. Franchise for sure, man. I mean,
Yeah,
he was playing MVP at like the first
for the
6 games of
first,
the season.
yeah. Then it's just he kind of, I don't know, man. Lamar, I probably sound like such a Lamar hater. I don't know how much we've talked about him on the show and everything. Man, I swear I have to sound like such a Lamar hater to everybody. I mean,
Mhm.
I know we've had a lot of conversations in the past where I've said I would take Kyler over him. I would
Yeah, I don't know.
Last year I would have gone to my grave with that. But I mean, obviously, it's going to be interesting to see with his contract what exactly happens, because if he doesn't end up re-signing with the Ravens when he has the chance while he's still on the team, that's probably the biggest free agent quarterback we've seen hit the market in I
in a
don't even know
while.
how long.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
they'll tag him.
I'm sure they will tag him, but that's been one of the more interesting stories, not even this year, but going back to last year too. And I mean, if you're the Ravens, I don't know how you haven't given him whatever he wants, because you see they can win, but you see how much of a completely different team they are with him and
Without
without
him.
him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's an interesting one for Lamar. I feel
Mac
like
Jones, throw him in the garbage.
I feel like below average. Because
Okay. Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
strides, and I
Yeah.
feel like he's better than the other
Okay.
than these
Yeah.
other five that he's kind of lumped in with. I feel like he's had games of being average to elite, but I feel like he has some real stinkers in there
Yeah. So he's
that
below
really
average. He's
bring it
below
down.
average this year for
And I
sure.
feel like this next guy could go right next to him,
Yeah.
Mariota. I feel like
You
Mariota's
might as
below
well just
average
lump him
too.
in. I don't even really want to talk about Mariota because Mariota's he's just so irrelevant. Like he didn't bring excitement. Nobody would really followed the Falcons with him on them. It was he's just a stopgap player.
Yeah, and I feel like he's another one where it's just like we talked about in the last episode, they were just stuck in middle gear like they have been all year. And I feel
Yeah.
like he's a big part of that. He's nothing special. He's one of my and at least in our lifetime, I feel like one of the bigger what ifs, like one of the
Yeah.
I don't even want to call him a bust, but dude, his Oregon mixtapes and stuff like that it's just crazy.
Insane. And even his early days on the Titans were really good
Yeah,
too.
it's just crazy what exactly happened to him. I feel like he's one of the bigger what ifs in the last 10 to 15 years, honestly.
Yeah. Matthew Stafford, I feel like we got to give him
Average.
respect still for last year, and we got to put him in elite.
Dude, I don't hold
He's
on.
a Super Bowl champ, and we
Yeah,
everyone knew that they were gonna fall apart when the year after because they can't. I mean, now they just have a bunch of big contracts with no picks and no youth.
here's my thing though. I know I've harped on this, but it's the turnovers again. This year he had 5 fumbles and 8 interceptions to 10 touchdowns.
Okay, yeah,
I
then
feel
yeah,
like
he's the
I feel like
Mhm.
just because of the turnovers, I love Matthew Stafford. I'm so happy that he got a ring, but I feel like his play this year just left him average. And I know a lot of that was injury, stuff like that. A not so great roster again, but
We don't even got to talk about my homeboy
Mahomes, best
because
of the
he's
best,
best of the best. We got to put him there. Russell, you can lump him down with below
below
average.
average. Yeah, I feel like he's
I
had a
I
couple
would
good
put him in the
games.
garbage. I would put him in garbage, but he's better than Jameis Winston and Davis Mills. So
I would still take him over all these guys other than the contract reasons.
yeah.
Ryan Tannehill, here's another interesting one,
Oh,
kind of
this
similar
one,
to the
man.
Goff, Stafford, Kirk Cousins, Jimmy G. He gets lumped into that kind of group.
I think he's elite. Yeah,
You think he's elite?
he's no. Actually, I
I
would put
think he's
him.
average. I think
I
he's
would think
perfectly
he's
average.
average because I don't think he's as good as
Perfect.
Jimmy G.
Yeah, exactly. I would take even some of the guys in the average over him just because I feel like he's good, but I don't think he's great in the
Yeah,
league.
exactly.
I wouldn't want him as my quarterback going forward, put it that way. So next up we got this
We'll
is I don't know
count.
why
We'll
this
count.
isn't Matt Ryan. We'll
Yeah,
count
we'll
this as Matt
count.
Ryan
Yeah, we'll count him as Matt Ryan. You got it.
garbage. I mean, Matt Ryan is the most he's the epitome of a turnover.
He's
Like
terrible.
he's awful. And I don't think Sam Ellinger was that good either. So I feel like they could both go into this tier.
Yeah, yeah.
I would take
Tom Brady, you got to put him in franchise.
yeah, yeah.
No, he's elite this year. He's elite
He's
this year.
elite. I was gonna say that's a
He's elite
stretch.
this year. Yeah, I don't think he's franchise at all this year.
I already know where I want to put Trevor Lawrence. What do you
Trevor
think?
Lawrence, I'll put him in elite.
Oh my God! Thank you. I didn't have to fight you on that.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go.
Only
That is-
because of what he's doing this year.
I know. Well, last year I feel like a lot of it wasn't. We've talked about Trevor Lawrence enough on here. It's kind of
Yeah.
it's Trevor Lawrence and Jameis Winston are the LeBron to Skip and Shannon for us. I swear to God,
Okay.
somehow those guys always get roped back into it.
Question: Do you
Tua's
want to count? Do you want to count Zach Wilson as Mike White or Zach Wilson?
Zach Wilson because he's garbage.
Okay, yeah, he's garbage.
This is an interesting. This is a good one to end it on, I think, because there's a lot of people.
Franchise.
You're gonna say franchise? Okay,
I
can get down with
think
that.
he's franchise in Miami. Any other team?
Yeah,
no.
That's
in Miami. In Miami, he's a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, and I feel like that's pretty good. I feel like I think this is a really good like list. I feel like there's nothing that's too aggressive on here.
I think the only one that could be argued for is Derek Carr.
Yeah, I feel like Derek Carr could. I feel like
Derek Carr and Watson maybe, but I don't.
I feel like those would be the two that I would be most comfortable switching. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are gonna think that we're hating on Josh Allen and but I just don't think that he's been.
We're talking just this year. I'm not talking about the future or what he's gonna do or what he's done in the past. I'm talking about this year. He's
strictly this season, and
yeah, he's not been.
I know that turnovers are a part of the game, but like, if you want to be truly in that best of the best, like I know Mahomes, he's had a couple turnover heavy games, but I feel like he's still proven that he
has a much worse roster than what Josh Allen has in terms of receiver.
Could you imagine if Mahomes, like, I mean, I know it's pretty much what he's had like the past couple of years, but I mean, it's crazy that Mahomes, like, I don't even know. I feel like Mahomes has really got potential to be like the best ever at quarterback.
Yeah, he really does.
Like him. I don't know. Jalen Hurts, I feel like could end up being like top 15 all time. I feel like Mahomes and Burrow, I feel like that's going to be the next, like, Manning.
I think Lamar's in there, too. I think Allen is going to be in there. I think Herbert's going to be in there.
It's going to be interesting, too. We talked about it with the game from Sunday, but Tua and Herbert, I feel like, are going to shadow each other a lot throughout their career.
Yeah.
Just because of, I don't even want to say how poorly Tua started because he really didn't start all that terrible. But, there was a lot of conceptions saying that, and I think it's still fair. Could you imagine if Justin Herbert was in Miami? But I mean, I feel like both of those guys have pretty solid situations going forward. So it'll be interesting to watch them. And I have one question I wanted to end this off with. For these quarterbacks, who is your pick in the next 4 weeks, like next 4 or 5 weeks before the playoffs start, to be the biggest riser and the biggest like loser, the one who falls the most potentially?
Okay, I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna pick Tua to rise to best of the best.
Okay.
And I'm gonna pick Derek Carr to fall to below average.
For me, I'm trying to think. Hold on. I just want to find one thing real quick. Why can I not find the freaking Cowboys schedule? The Cowboys, to me, I think Dak is going to be the biggest riser up to franchise. Because with the Dallas Cowboys remaining schedule, I mean, they play at Jacksonville.
I just don't feel that Dak has been the reason why they're winning.
Actually, I'm going to change it. I'm going to say I think the biggest riser is going to be Jared Goff. I think the Lions have a potential playoff push on their hands. They're not going to catch Minnesota, obviously, but I feel like they've got a really good chance. I think he can rise up to elite this year. And then I think the one that's going to fall, I'm going to say Aaron Rodgers plays himself down to elite. I could see
that.
Maybe even average. Like, I don't know. I'm just not sure, with his attitude and everything, like, and they're not in the playoff contention. I'm not going to say that he would quit on the Packers this season, but I don't really feel like he's all the way in it right now. And I feel like that gives him that leaves him liable to fall down into this kind of middle elite average tier. And then I think
Yeah.
Jared Goff, he's been the reason that the Lions have been in a lot of their games and why they've won a lot of them. He's been able to throw for a godly amount of yards, and he's done a better job of not turning the ball over the last couple games. So yeah,
I wanted to also bring up, because I know we brought up Ty at the end of last video, and I figured we should bring up Kyler's torn ACL real fast and get
yeah.
your opinion on what you think they're gonna do. Whether you think they're gonna bring someone in, you think they're gonna keep Colt McCoy moving forward. Do you think
I mean,
they stand a chance in that division at all?
I'm trying to think. Do they have their first round pick in
Mm-hmm.
this upcoming draft?
Yeah.
So I mean, with them having their first round pick, I feel like they're just gonna let it kind of ride out with Colt McCoy. I don't see the need to try. You're not in the playoff contention. You're not gonna catch San Francisco. You're probably not even gonna catch Seattle. I mean, shit, you might not even catch the Rams. I mean, who knows? But I feel like they're gonna keep Colt McCoy. I wouldn't be surprised in the offseason, if they sign a Mariota, potentially a Jameis Winston, someone in that kind of caliber, like in these lower kind of tiers, and even some of the guys that aren't on this list. But I mean, ACL, that's a recovery that's gotten to be a lot faster now with, modern medicine and everything. And I feel like with Kyler's stature, like that kind of injury is a big question mark because he's relied on his ability to move, scramble, make the off platform awkward plays. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's for a quarterback, especially with his size, like that's going to be a big thing of how he comes back. And especially with that ginormous contract they signed him to. I mean, if I'm in the Arizona front office, I'm pretty scared right now.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
especially because
lie.
he's gonna be laid up playing video games instead of watching film.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like this is, like you just kind of alluded to, this is a good chance for him to try and make some strides, mentally. I don't know about physically just yet, but this is a good time for him to try and really lock in and take that next step, I think, outside of just playing, like, learning the game even more and learning, which we saw him not rely on his legs as much this year, just with the way that they're calling plays. But I mean, I'm really gonna be interested to see their offseason because, if he doesn't come back close to himself, I don't know who else is necessarily gonna want a 5'10" quarterback that can't move, you know,
Yeah,
or can't
exactly.
move at least as well. And
Yeah,
that's kind of what we're seeing with Russ and Denver. And I don't want to say, obviously, I really hope Kyler doesn't take a fall off that big. I don't think he will. But, Russ is getting older, and we've seen the inability for him to really move. He had a couple nice runs throughout the year. So far, he ran well in the game against Kansas City, but it's going to be really interesting, especially with that contract. And then, as much as it's harped on for him, his size, because he relies on his legs to make a lot of the plays that he does. So,
yeah,
I mean, obviously, like I hope he gets back to just as good as he was, if not better. But I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't be pretty hesitant if I were Arizona's front office.
yeah, and I'd be scared too. All right, well, that is our that's the third tier list. All wrapped up and done. We did NFL QBs today. Um, you know, it was good. Good. I think we got a good list, a good ranking
Yeah.
system, some good opinions, and a lot of
Let us
good
know what you
information.
guys think. Like,
Yeah,
do
seriously,
you
let
think
us
we
know
completely
below.
whiffed or got them all pretty close? And
Yeah, we'll see.
hopefully we can find some similar success as we have in the other two tier lists. And next one we're hoping to do, I know Cade's gonna do this one hopefully next week, I think, with the tight ends, and then
We'll move to
maybe
defense.
then we'll move to defense. So we're excited for all that.
We might do an O line episode, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I would be surprised.
Yeah.
But you never know. And, we're coming down to the end of the NFL season. The playoffs are coming up. Big time stuff is happening. So, yeah, we're excited.
We are, and we have big stuff on the way for the channel. As we keep saying, we do have some plans, kind of going behind the scenes and everything. So, we've kind of posted about it here and there on Instagram and stuff. But yeah, we have big stuff coming and big stuff set up. So
Yeah, make sure to follow us on Instagram. Keep sharing all these videos, stuff like that means
yeah, as
more
many
than you
eyes and
know.
ears as possible.
And also, forgot to say this. Thank you guys for, 50 subscribers. We're halfway to 100,
Yes, sir.
getting closer to our end of the year goal, and it's not possible without you guys. So, thank
Yeah,
you so
exactly.
much for everything.
Yep. Yep. No, we're very appreciative. But yeah, no, this is a good way to wrap up the episode. And I think the Kyler thing was important to talk about.
Yeah.
Stuff is definitely getting interesting. So, all
Yeah.
right. And I guess this has been our third tier list and Journeyman Sports Podcast. We are out of here, bro.